Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jerriden with TGN.TV, TGN SWTOR, whatever you want to call it. I'm bringing you a Firebrand Stormcaller Ops guide on story mode, explosive conflict. So here we go to kick everything off. There's two tanks. Oh my god, two tanks on two tanks. This sounds like a really bad porno. So what's going to kick it off, here's a diagram. Firebrand's on the left, Stormcaller's on the right. Each of them will have a tank on the chassis as well as DPS. Now on Stormcaller, you will have the healer on the chassis. While on Firebrand, that healer is going to be off to the side, taking the lightning spikes and this yellow reticle. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but this yellow reticle that's going to target the healer. Just move around until it's static and then just get away from it. See the little arrow? It says important. Pay attention to that because that's what I was just talking about. So what's going to go on Firebrand's side, you have the DPS on the chassis to avoid having lightning spikes drop anywhere but on the healer. And you want to control that because it deals a lot of damage, about 3k a tick. But the most important thing about Firebrand is when you initiate the fight, he'll do an AoE that'll affect the area around him about 40 meters away, up to 40 meters away, and he puts little red reticles on the ground. Stay out of those and you're good. He also does a frontal cone attack that will hit the tank pretty hard, but it's manageable. Stormcaller has a similar setup. He does an AoE attack in front of him, but what's most important about both of these guys, each of them has a debuff that they put on their respective tanks. For Firebrand, it's called Incinerate Armor. For Stormcaller, it's called Double Destruction. Now, with Incinerate Armor, you can't mitigate that. It increases damage by 100%. So if you get hit with it, it will increase damage incredibly. As you can see, if you look down at my health, each hit is bringing me down at least 15 to 20%. So with Incinerate Armor up, it's going to really tear into you. But what we did, and what I recommend doing, is that the Stormcaller tank taunts Firebrand as he's channeling Incinerate Armor. So that way, the Stormcaller tank takes Incinerate Armor and you don't. The Firebrand tank does not. The thing that you got to watch out for though on Stormcaller is Double Destruction, like I mentioned before. What Double Destruction is, you can't avoid that damage unless you turn to the side, and like I showed you before in the diagram where the DPS was standing, Double Destruction targets the closest person to it. So if you turn to the side, the DPS gets hit, and then you turn back around and nobody gets killed. This is the second phase, and let me show you the diagram for this. When they reach a certain percentage, they do defensive systems where they knock you off of the platform. Here are the shields. Firebrand's shield is on the left next to this big door, and Stormcaller's shield is on the right-hand side next to a stone wall and a couple of trees. Now, what's really important about this, like on Firebrand's side, you're going to have everybody get in there. But the most important thing is to not DPS the shield generator that's inside there, because Firebrand will constantly be shelling down a barrage of missiles at the entire raid. See, Group 1, stay on the left. Group 2, in the right-hand side. Group 2's tank, this is very important. Group 2's tank has to stay outside of the shield and run around, because Stormcaller will be barraging the area with whoever has the most aggro with lightning spikes. And it will just be a constant stream of them, so you have to run around and avoid that damage. Other than that, this phase is just a transition phase, nothing big. There's Trandoshans that spawn in the shield, so you just kill them and hang out in the shield until Firebrand stops shooting and targets the tank again. And going on to the continuation of the fight. This is pretty much the fight in a nutshell. There's not too much else that comes from this. I mean, you can see there's the Trandoshans. The shield generator is targetable, so be careful with your tabs. Tanks, I recommend doing an AoE taunt or an AoE stun and then an AoE taunt, or vice versa, however you want to do it, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But I would really recommend that because it just makes it easier to keep everybody on you, just to avoid dropping the shield. Here you can see I jump out right as he retargets, and there's the reticles on the ground where he starts doing the barrage again. And just be careful with your cooldowns. Don't pop them too soon. You should only use your cooldowns if you're getting hit with Incinerate Armor, because Firebrand doesn't hit extremely hard. Like, a good healer can manage through it no problem, and a good tank knows when to use a relic or an adrenal or something. Like right there, I used it because I was 50% and my healer was over in the corner. But other than that, it's not a very difficult fight. Hopefully this guide kind of helps you out. You know, I know I'm not really giving you a guide. I'm giving you, excuse me, more like what their abilities do. But the way we had it set up, I'll try and like iterate how we did it. We set up on the top the tanks both on the front part of the chassis. On the right hand side for Stormcaller, the DPS was on the tank. On Firebrand's side, the DPS and the healers were down on the ground, even though they shouldn't have been. Like, we were just, you know, trying to see different tactics and different things on how to do everything. And it worked in our favor. We actually did this in hard mode, and that's where the taunt mechanic came from. Like, when we taunted Firebrand for the Stormcaller tank to receive Incinerate Armor as opposed to the Firebrand tank, it really helps mitigate a lot of that damage. And that's one thing you never want to do. Like the healer ran all the way to the back and he couldn't see me, so I think I did have to pop a cooldown at that point, and I got a text message, so I apologize for that. But you just gotta, you know, make sure that your tank is always in line of sight of the healer, and you know, vice versa and all that stuff. Here's a good strategy right here. Whenever you're on Firebrand and he's about to do defensive systems, kind of angle yourself at like a 45, but yeah, about a 45-degree angle, and it'll launch you back into the shield. So that way, once he starts doing his barrage, you're already inside there. That'll save a lot of time and a lot of needless damage. I think right here, the shield dropped. Somebody was targeting the shield, and you know, you take about a good 10-15% of damage from one hit of that. So you just be cautious of who's targeting what in that situation. Especially like DPS, like, don't AoE at all. Don't use any of your AoE knockbacks or anything that could cause. I know we have a commando in the group, so he must have, you know, he might have used his explosive charge or whatever. I'm not really sure what it's called. It's like, it looks like the mortar barrage thing, but it's just like the single one, and he probably used that, and it causes some extra damage because the shield actually takes damage during that barrage phase, but it's not as intense as if you damage it yourself. Once again, so you stand at the angle, you drop right into the shield. It's the same thing on the other side. You can angle it just right so you fall into the shield, but you, as a tank, you want to get out of that shield as quickly as possible, because you're going to be taking those lightning pikes. And like I said earlier, they hit for a ton of damage very, very quickly. Anyhow, that's pretty much the run in a nutshell. There's not really much to this fight. You know, especially once you see it in action. Hopefully this can, you know, help some groups out that haven't done this or are struggling with this. You know, the taunting technique is so helpful, and it's so much simpler than switching tanks, especially like if you run the setup that we run with a Sage tank and a Jedi Knight tank. It's not really convenient for the Sage tank to constantly move back and forth to take the aggro and switch positions, because I can just leap over there where they have to sprint over there, and their sprint cooldown is longer than my leap, if I remember right. I'm not 100%. Here, I think, yeah, we killed Firebrand a little bit sooner than Stormcaller, but we you know, dropped him within a decent enough time frame that he didn't enrage. And I'm coming up to the end of the video, so I would like to say thank you guys so much for watching TGN's videos, for watching my videos, for my PvP videos and stuff like that. The comments, the likes, and everything. It really does mean a lot. I appreciate everything that, you know, even though you guys are just watching a video while I babble on into a microphone, it's still much appreciated. And I would like to say, I didn't post up any PvP videos this week because I am working on these ops videos, because I know you guys want PvE content, so I'm going to give you what you want. But this Friday I'm uploading 4 PvP videos, one of each Warzone, from my shadow. So you guys take it easy and have a great week, and stay classy, internet.